Hi, Jeremy. Oh, hi. Hello. Can you hear? You can hear me? Thumbs up if you can hear me, please. Yay. Yay, 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 yay. Hi, Shomij. Hi, Davida Grills. Hi, Adiremi. Happy Easter to you, David. Oh, thank you, Shoming. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. It's my Easter look. Let me adjust this. You can hear me. Hi, Remy. Thank you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I see Cujo Kids Zone show is on here. Yay! Thank you guys. Thank you guys. Thank you guys. Happy Easter. I hope you guys are having a great, great weekend. I'm excited. Yeah, this is a great weekend. Lord and Savior, if you're a Christian. Uh, he died yesterday, but he's about to rise tomorrow, so I'm excited. Doo, 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 doo. I just want to say welcome. Thank you guys for tuning back in. I know it's been a minute. February seems so like, on one hand, it seems like it was just yesterday I did the IG Lives for Black History Month. And then on the other hand, it looks like eons ago. I had to take a break in March. And I was like, you know what? I should bring back this series. I mean, people were asking, like, hey, you got to do more. And I'm like, you know what? Why not? And so I am here. For those of you that are tuning in, hey, Lola. Hi, happy Easter. Hi, Jen. Happy Easter. For those of you that are new to this space, welcome. For those of you that are returned customers, welcome back. My name is Memeduma. I am a Canadian-based MC based out of Calgary, the lovely city of Calgary. I'm an MC, voice actor, event host. I'm trying to dabble in a whole bunch of other stuff. I've modeled before, so if you need a beautiful girl to model for your merchandise, come talk to me. And yeah, I've just decided that, you know what, I know some really great people, and I'm like, you know what, let's bring back this series. And let's just have people on here and let's discuss. And so I'm so excited about the guest that I have today. She is I don't know how to explain her, but like just listening to her work, her body of work, it's like just warm and just, it's soothing. That's the right word. And so I'm so excited to have Titilope Sonuga here. I have been following her career for quite a while, not in a stalkerish way, no, but I mean, I am just excited for her to come and talk about her upcoming project that she has, and I figured this would be a great platform. She already has, obviously, lots of people that know her work, but I'm like, you know what, let's bring her here for those that have never heard of her before, which, shame on you, but like, if you haven't, you're not familiar with her work, let's bring her on here and let's have a conversation. So that's what we're gonna do. I believe I see Pat Olukemi. Yay! I see Jay Keddy has joined as well. Welcome, 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 welcome. I'm about to add my guest. How's everyone doing though? Is everyone having a good weekend? Can I also get maybe in the chat, where's everyone like viewing this from? I don't want to assume that everyone's in the same location that I am. Can you guys put in the chat where you guys are like streaming this from? Let's see. I see Tolu has joined. Yay. Where is everyone streaming this from? If everyone doesn't mind, just putting in the chat just where you guys are like streaming from. Calgary. Okay. I mean, I figured yes, yes, yes. Lola is great. Lola, where are you streaming from? Tell the audience. NYC. Saskatoon. Shout out to the folks in Saskatoon. Winnipeg. Yay. Okay. So we're going to do this. I'm going to try and add Seattle. Thank you, thank you. Milton, Ontario. Awesome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I see Alice Ronka has joined. Welcome. Just asking everyone, Worry and Spirits. Oh my God. I'm just asking where everyone is tuning in from. Yay. Thank you, hearts. Okay. I believe we have our guest in the, I don't know if it's called a waiting room, but let's pretend it's a waiting room. So, Lagurst. All right. Last giddy. Let's see. I'm going to add our guest. Let's see. Last Giddy in the house. How's Last Giddy? Hot? All right.
Oh,
Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. I see Alan has joined. Hey, hey, hey. Can you guys see? I cannot see TT. TT, are you here with
I'm
me?
here. I can see and hear you.
Okay, hold on. Let's see. Let's try this again while we're waiting. Let's see. Can you guys see TT? Because we're about to have another repeat episode again where I can't see the guest, but you guys can see the guest. Let's
Oh
try
no.
this. I know this is frustrating. Let's try this again. TT, can I ask a huge favor? Do you know if you can like go back out and then come back in again? Let's
Sure.
see if that will work. Okay.
I'll do that.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. We're gonna try this again. You guys can both see us, but I couldn't see her, and I really want to see her. Let's try again. I don't know what's happening. Let's see.
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you. I cannot see you. This is not fun times. Let's keep trying this. I am determined. If not, we will have to just roll with the punches as I've done before. Hopefully, you guys can see her beautiful face because I cannot. Okay, you know what? We're gonna just roll with it. I mean, it is what it is. As far as you guys can see her, that's all right for me. But Titi, you said you can see me, right?
Yeah, I can see and hear you. They can
Okay.
see and hear us both.
Okay. So then I think that's it. That's all that matters. As far as you can see me and hear me and everybody else can, then
Okay.
we will make it work. So
Cool.
you guys are gonna have to tell me how she looking, describe her in the chat. You both see us? Okay. Someone said next time pay your tithes. Blood of Jesus. I
Wow.
did. Yesterday I played my tithes in church. Yeah. I said, God, I sowed the seed. Please, please, I paid my tithes. Okay, you know what? We're gonna roll with it. That's fine. Welcome, TT. I cannot see you, but I'm assuming that you are looking fantastic as usual.
Thank you.
So we're gonna roll with it. Welcome. How have you been?
I have been well. I am in your city actually. I'm visiting my sister.
Yeah.
And so we're here with all the littles and doing Easter things and yeah, I've been well. I've been well. I'm excited for our conversation. How have you been?
Thank you for asking. Wow. I am good. I mean, it's been, life's, as an adult, but we
Yes.
push through. Exactly. But I've been good. I mean, I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful for this opportunity. I want to just say thank you because I know that you're busy and I know that you could be spending time with family, but the fact that you're here this early in the morning instead of sleeping in, I appreciate.
I
So you guys
haven't
put some
slept
hearts
in
in the
I
sorry,
haven't
go
slept
ahead.
in 7 years, so
You
you don't have to worry
said?
about me sleeping. I said I haven't slept in 7 years, so this is 10 o'clock. This is
Oh,
midday with two kids. I've already
wow.
lived 10 lives.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna read your bio. I know sometimes the guests are always like, but I'm like, you know what? We have to give people their flowers while they are here. And you have done a lot. So I'm gonna read your bio.
Okay.
Please indulge me. Titilope Sonuga is a poet, a playwright, and a performer. Her poetry concert open has shown to sold out audiences worldwide. Keyword worldwide. This is not local champion stuff.
Oh my
She
God.
is international. Yeah. She has published 3 poetry collections and released 3 spoken word albums. Sonaga has scripted campaigns for Google, UN Women, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and many more. She's an ambassador for Intel's She Will Connect program, and her plays, including Sankofa. See, I'm not very competent with the pronunciation, but you'll correct me. Sankofa
Mhm.
is a re-emerging of Ignor's strategic. Hey, this is French. La History de Sol Cats. Is that it? Is that how you say that?
No.
Oh yeah, say now. Don't laugh. I'm
So
trying my best. French is
it's
not good.
called Sankofa, which is a Ghanaian word to mean to
Uh,
reach back and retrieve. And it's a reimagining of Igor Stravinsky's L'Histoire du Soldat, which is an older, like, theatrical, like an opera, basically. Yeah.
all right. And she has made history as the first poet to perform at the Nigerian presidential inauguration and has served as the 9th poet laureate of the city of Edmonton, where she currently resides.
Awesome.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give her a round of applause for Tig. Girl,
You
your
did it.
resume is stacked, 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 stacked. So, first of all, I want to just ask, how are you feeling? Because if those of you that do not know, she has a upcoming show in Edmonton on May 11th. How is prep going for that?
Prep is going well. Actually, for this show, decidedly, I wanted it to feel smaller, more intimate, and
Mm,
less. I feel like I've done quite a few shows where it felt like there was everything was happening all at once. There's a big band, there's an orchestra, it's
mm,
like big stage, and I was starting to really miss the experience of just talking to audiences, being really up close and personal.
mm,
That kind of like how an open mic feels, where it's like you're together. For
exactly.
me, also in performance, I want to feel something as well. I want to feel taken care of
Mm,
as well. I want to feel something. And with big venues, sometimes you're under this the spotlight and very far. So this show feels simpler to put together by design,
okay,
and I'm trying to move through it with more just like enjoyment. I'm not doing it for any particular reason, other than of course to like push my album some more into the world. But generally, I'm doing this because I want to be close to audiences and I want them to feel close to me also. So prep is going well. It's, like I've done a few of these now that I know the things to do, but I've
okay.
also made sure that I've kept it, like this because I don't want to be on a high tension wire every time I put on, that thing. Yeah.
So wait, okay, so are you saying that for all the other ones, that's how you felt? Like you always felt like it was high tension every time?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean this is a later thing, but I'm working on maybe if I say it out loud, I'll put myself on the on the line. Like I'll say the thing and then I'll be held
Oh
accountable. But
yeah,
I'm
do it,
working on
do
a
it, do it, do it, do it.
30-day devotional manual. It's kind of like a workshop in a book, right?
Mm,
And I created that work because it is called As the Spirit Leads. It's a way that I unify like my spiritual practice, my faith with my art, and I'm creating that work for people to take with them to work through, right through anxiety and high stress, because this
mm,
is how I live. I because of the work I create is very zen and it's very like like this. I think people often forget that there's a living, breathing human being behind all of it, and that living,
mm,
breathing human being has been for many years quite anxious, quite stressed. Like I do, it takes me several weeks to recover from doing a big thing, both
mhm,
because I'm like a highly sensitive person, and so it touches me differently. And so yeah, each of those, everything and in this manual I say in the opening of it, just that I've created in the tension between extreme joy and courage
mm,
and fear and
okay.
anxiety my entire career. I'm like always in the duality of those two things. So yeah, a lot of things I've made happen, I've done afraid, terrified, anxious, scared, and kicking and screaming, but always grateful that I did them anyway.
Mhm. It's so interesting because it doesn't show. And I mean, I guess, of course, it's not going to show because you're doing it afraid and you're going to give the illusion of, I know what I'm doing. But I feel like the fact that you're actually really open about this is
Yeah.
so amazing because I know a lot of people would be in this industry of whether I guess you would call it performing, entertainment, whatever you want to call it, and not necessarily want to show. But then I guess that's what poetry is, right? Like you're almost like bearing your soul, and so the fact that you're willing to say like, hey, I'm doing all of this shebang with battling anxiety, nervousness, and all of that stuff, but I still have to like push through, I think is very inspiring to me because then sometimes you're stuck in that notion of, man, I'm the only one going through this, and then you're hard on yourself
Hmm.
until you hear other people talk about, oh, I'm going through the same struggle. Like I'm going through the same struggle, and you're like, oh, it's not just me. I feel seen.
Hmm. It never
So.
is. I think a lot of artists will live in this space, which is why and this is not just poetry. I think all art requires all of your heart, all of your vulnerability, and
Mhm.
that also comes with an inner life that you need to nurture. It's why artists often fall through the cracks of like addiction and all of those things, because it is hard work, it's hard work, and if you're not taking care of yourself in the in between, it can really take its toll on you. So it's not something like this.
Mhm.
It's not something secret. Like it's not something that I feel is mysterious or exists only for me, which is why I speak about it so openly. I know I'm in relationship with other artists. I'm friends with other artists. I
Mm,
engage. I know that everybody at every level, and that's the incredible thing. You think, okay, when I get to that point, all of this kind of settles down. It's just like newer levels and newer devils,
mm, mm,
new challenges, more
mm,
challenges. And I think what I'm learning to do is I'm enjoying the climb, I'm enjoying the process, and also I'm taking care of
mm.
myself so that I can live to tell about it, you know?
That is important. That's really important. Yeah. But you know what? Let's kind of take it a little bit back. I feel like I got too excited and got ahead of myself. But I mean, I think for people that aren't aware, I would like for you to kind of talk about how you got into poetry because like almost all typical Nigerians, you started off your career, your professional career as a civil engineer. Shout out to all the engineers who are currently not practicing engineering but studied it.
There are many of us.
We are plenty.
Yeah.
We are plenty. Yeah. So shout out to all the engineers not practicing. But how did you, or what was when was the first time that you, I guess maybe wrote a poem or decided or realized that, hey, I'm actually really good at expressing myself? Was it from writing in your diary or journal? But how did you realize that, you know what, I really enjoy doing this?
Hmm. Um, I mean, I think I've always kind of been lost in the world of storytelling and like folk tales. I grew up in Nigeria. I was in Nigeria till I was 13.
Mm-hmm.
And storytelling, holding courts, that's our way of life. So I think I was kind of immersed in the experience of watching people tell
Okay.
stories and live stories. So
Mm-hmm.
I want to believe that the seed had already existed somewhere there. I often tell the story of my mom, who was a working woman, traveling quite a bit for work, and I'm the last born of four. And she would leave me a notebook and say, okay, when I'm gone, write down all the things that happened, write down all the things that your
Oh,
sisters
wow.
did,
Ah,
keep score.
US
And so,
teaching. US teaching
pardon?
or that?
Yes. It was like a snitch book. So it was like, okay, so this was the first,
Mm-mm.
I think, my earliest recollection of an invitation to tell story, like an
Okay.
invitation to document, an invitation to embellish, even to tell lies
Mm-hmm.
if I needed to.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would write in that little book. But I think I discovered poetry in the way that I know it now in high school. And I had a grade 10 teacher who like took an interest in something I had written and was like, oh, this is so good. And then she's like, oh, let's read it in front of the entire class. And I was so shy. I had only moved to Canada 2 or 3 years before that. I just like
Mm-hmm.
did not want to be seen in any way, shape, or form. But she made me read this poem. Then it was like, okay, let's share, let's put it on a poster board and put it in the school. And I remember my sister, who was at the university at the time, was the head of the Black Students Association. And so she got the poem displayed in this like hallway
Oh,
of people for
wow.
Black where people could walk by and see it. I think that was my first impression that something I had created had meaning for other people. And so I
Mm-hmm.
just chased that down. I mean, of course, I went on to engineering and didn't remember that as like a way of life. I just thought, okay, cool thing that I did. I continued to write, but I think, yeah, those early memories of having people read my work, react to it, let me know, oh, maybe there's something there. But I don't know that I knew that there was something there as in me. I just thought art makes people feel things. I hadn't yet
Mm-hmm.
um, individualized it in that way. But yeah, that I think that was the beginning.
Yeah, okay. And someone pointed out, shout out to all the teachers because honestly, I think that that teacher, I think sometimes it's always good to remember the people that were able to kind of push you into the beginning journey of your greatness. And so shout out to all the teachers that are supporting like students and, seeing their gifts and encouraging them to step out even in the midst of their fears. So shout out to that teacher for you. And then also big shout out to sisters, big sisters that will support because I mean the fact that your sister took her little sister's poetry and put it in her school, I mean that's amazing. So shout out to someone
Yeah.
said snitch book and it annoyed the siblings greatly. Oh my god, I think someone else had the snitch book as well.
Yeah, I would
um
highly recommend it.
okay. So I'm just curious now. Obviously, when you write your poetry, I'm sure obviously a lot of it I'm assuming is inspired by like real life things that you're feeling. Because a lot of the stuff that I mean, I'd like to believe a lot of the stuff that you talk about seems very like personal and what's the word? personal and but it's universal. Like everyone else can kind of relate to
Yeah.
it. So when you're writing your poems, how are you able to find, I guess, like a balance where you're able to pour your like how you're feeling or what you're going through, but still make it so that somebody else can be able to relate to it? Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. Um, I think I've learned over the years that actually the more specific you are in your truth,
Mhm.
the more you that thing is, the more universal it becomes. Like it's like a weird dichotomy in that the more honest you get,
Okay.
the more vulnerable you are, the more universal it is, right? So I don't
Okay.
start off, I guess, trying to make the work relatable. I just try to make it as true as
Mm.
possible.
Mm-hmm.
The reward of that is always, always. I often say no truth stands alone. Like when you say the thing out loud in a room full of people, there are few things I've said in a room that nobody else was like, yeah, me too. You know, like I felt that thing too. And I think maybe years of sharing my work. I used to run an open mic in Edmonton for a decade.
Oh,
Just every
wow.
Tuesday night, rain, snow, whatever, we were there just sharing new poems, poems that we just wrote yesterday, poems that we just wrote that night. And so I have the experience of real time feedback, and that informs my knowledge that people just want to hear the truth of you and they can always find themselves in it, even if I'm talking about my upbringing in Lagos, Nigeria, which is a very
Hmm.
specific thing.
Of
A person
course.
who has lived in Edmonton, Alberta their entire life can find meaning in that somehow if I just tell it true, tell it real, tell it, how I remember it. So I'm often just writing. I'm trying to be as radically honest on the page as I can be. I'm infinitely more vulnerable in my work on the page, in my work that I speak, than you would imagine in real life. In real life, I'm a hard nut to crack, but when I'm on the page, I put it all there. And then it can live out in the world separate from me.
Okay.
And then I can go back into my cocoon and hide forever. But yeah, I
Don't
just try.
hide. We need you out. Don't hide. Don't hide. Don't hide. Okay. So I mean, when you're writing poetry, because I mean, obviously you see stuff online and it's like when you think poetry, it's like, okay, let's light some candles and have some incense blow, and then it's like, some kind of instrumental music. Is that your writing process? Is that how you do it, or is that just like a stereotype?
Uh, I mean, writing process. I think this is not how I do it. Let me answer the question. Yes, it is not. Because again, I mentioned earlier, I have two small kids. They're 6 and 3, and so my life at the moment is very dynamic. And within that very dynamic place, I still need to create work. And so I'm writing in my head while I'm driving somebody to a soccer practice.
Mm,
I'm
mm,
thinking about a poem while I'm on like cooking something on the stove. I'm meditating on my work almost always while I'm living my
mm,
life, and then I find the moment in between to actually put it down on paper. And I don't, even before children, I don't think I ever had a writing practice that looked like that. And I wanted to, like, I desperately wanted to be the wake up at dawn, meditate, yoga, sit down, cup of coffee or tea, or
mm,
just start writing brilliant things. But that has just never worked for me. Even when I was in engineering, I was always studying on the couch with the TV on, music playing in the background. I think something about me thrives in the dynamic nature of creating within real life. And so
uh-huh.
I write. And when I'm not writing, I'm almost always thinking about writing so that I meet the page with the thoughts sometimes fully formed already, you know.
Okay. That I think that's kind of cool. So of course now I'm not gonna just assume that, if I feel like writing in my journal, because I think even the times where I've been like, you know what, I feel like I need to journal today, or I've been told that coloring books are therapeutic.
Mm-hmm.
I always feel like I need to set the mood. Like I on, candles, the whole place is almost aflame, and then I have like incense. Like
Yeah.
honestly, like it's a mess, but it's
I mean,
it's all good. I
your
guess it's
experience,
about
go for it. I'm really envious of people who write that way. I think it's so peaceful and beautiful. But if a thought comes, write it down, sharp, sharp. Because also what I know about ideas is that they're like little fairies. They will come sit on your shoulder for a little while, and if you waste time, they're off to the next person. Yeah.
right? For me, your recent, what I've been trying to do, someone recommended is like, because I always tell the person, I'm like, the problem is I have so many thoughts in my head, and by the time I want to write it, I either the thoughts feel too plenty or I'm just tired or I'm lazy. So someone recommending doing like voice notes. And so obviously, if anyone knows me, I'm like the queen of voice
Mhm.
notes. And which is funny because I was listening to your song and it said that friend that says lives a voice note like a podcast. I'm paraphrasing. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
that's me. I'm that friend.
Yeah.
And so I was like, you know what? Maybe I should do that. Like just send like leave a voice note just to kind of remind myself of whatever that idea or thought
Yeah.
is until I figure out what I want to do with it. But that's what I've been doing as
Mhm.
well. So, but I feel like we should kind of talk about like I know I feel like I've been kind of all over the place, so forgive me.
No.
But when you were working as an engineer, when like what year was that? What was that moment that you decided I am going to walk away from engineering and I'm going to follow this path and see where it takes me? And how was that? Obviously you've told
Um,
me that you did it afraid, but like when was that pivotal moment that you decided this
yeah.
I need to
I think that I knew probably 2 years before I did it. I
okay.
talk often about I took a leave of absence. I had applied for a writing residency and
Okay.
got it, and it was in Cape Town in South Africa.
What
I'd never been to
is that? Can you explain what that is?
residency is just time to write.
Okay.
So this particular residency was built around women. So it was there were 6 women, and it
Okay.
was run by Debbie Young, who's a Canadian Jamaican Canadian poet based out of Toronto, who
Okay.
was in South Africa at the time and created this space for women to come from across the globe and have a month, 4 weeks or so, to create. We were working each on one woman play, some piece of work that was for you. So I applied for this thing while I was at my engineering job, got in. And then I was like, okay, how am I going to explain to these people I need to leave for a month? Um, I asked the question. In fact, I left for several months because I wanted to stay in South Africa after the residency and just
Oh,
be there.
wow.
So in this
Okay.
time, I got to work with other women, write this one woman play. Whether it was good or not, I don't even know. But what I knew in that time was that I was now living with people who were living as artists full time. And I was living in another place that is so beautiful and dynamic and
Mm-hmm.
artistic and cool. And I just was like, I want this, like whatever this thing is,
Mm-hmm.
feels more me than anything else I'm doing back home. But I went back home and still worked for another 2 years because I'm like, how do you leave engineering on a whim to go create something that you don't even have a real example for? Um, but the seed was planted, and I was at a point in my life where I was like, okay, I'm either gonna go do the things that are expected of me, get married, buy a house, have some babies, or I'm going to actually try. So I quit, because I'd already just come from a leave of absence and I felt like to ask for another 1 year plus leave of absence was ridiculous. And I was like, ultimately, I'm an engineer who can get another engineering job, I think.
Sure.
At the time, it was, work was plenty. So I was like, okay, I'll quit. And if in 6 months, 1 year, this thing is not clicking, I'll just go back and beg for my job back. And I won't lie to you, at many points on the journey, I was ready to go back and say, you know what, just kidding, just kidding. Because it
Right.
was hard. So I resigned, moved to Nigeria, and yeah, I rolled the dice on my life to see what would happen. And that was
Mm.
2013. So over 10 years ago now.
2013. Okay.
Yeah.
How was that conversation with your parents specifically? Because I mean, I already feel like your sisters were probably like going to support you regardless. But
Yeah.
how was that conversation with your parents? Because I don't know if your parents are like the very traditional Nigerian parents that expect you to, read all these STEM degrees and work in that field, and then you not come and tell them that you want to go
Yeah.
and be a
To be
poet,
an
be
engineer.
writing poetry. What's poetry? What are you talking about? So
Yeah.
I'm curious how that conversation
I think
went.
by the time I made this choice, and I'm rushing ahead, and there's lots of context along the way. But at this point, when I was thinking about leaving engineering, I had already started working as a poet. By that I
Mm.
mean I had been invited places to perform. I had been flown places to go and showcase my work. I had, I think, written my first collection already. I was running the open mic, so I was already working as an artist, but I think I hadn't hacked how to make a living out of it.
Mhm.
So for
Mhm.
my family, there was clear evidence that there was something. They had been to my shows.
Oh wow.
In fact, my dad came and sat there and wept. And this is a very stoic Nigerian man, right? So I know in my heart that they knew in their hearts that there's something
Mm.
there, but they didn't have we none of us had the language for how to make sense of a life as an
Mhm.
artist. And so they weren't, to their credit, my parents are not typical like traditional parents that
Mm-hmm.
tell you what to do with your life and this is what you're going to
Mm-hmm.
study. They have
Yeah.
expectations, right? And they encourage you very strongly in certain directions. But by the time I went to them, and I was not an irresponsible child, right? I was a child who followed the rules, who did the things. So if I'm coming to tell you that I think there's something and I want to try,
Yeah.
I think they were bored. It wasn't like the big drama conversation. It was just kind of like, are you sure? Yes, I'm sure. And also, of course, I told them 6 months, 6 months, 6 months. If it doesn't work, I'll come back home and I'll, go to work. And so they're like, okay, everyone, my family is quite generous about trusting my choices. And they've,
Mm-hmm.
for better for worse, off the cliff, which I'm very blessed and lucky for. And so they were like, okay, worried. I know probably when I left the room, there were many conversations about, is she okay? But generally they were like, okay, sure, sure, let's go do it. And a year became two, it became three, and I didn't go back home and say, I've destroyed my life, help me, help me. And so they continued to observe and watch me kind of
Mm-hmm.
make my way through and do so pretty decently. And that was it. It wasn't, I of course wept and cried, but I think it was a mixture of relief, fear, joy, euphoria, like
Mm-hmm.
feeling
Mm-hmm.
I knew that I was about to set my life on another course. And that's a big feeling. So there were lots of tears, but it wasn't because I was like being reprimanded in some way. They were very generous with me. And I think had I not had, even when I was moving to Nigeria, I was like, okay, stay with this uncle. This is how we're going to do it. She was kind of helping me strategize how I was going to survive out there. If had I not had that, it would have been much more difficult to be dealing
Mm-hmm.
with trying to make it as an artist and also have parents who are like on your case about, when are you
Of
going
course.
to, when are you going to marry?
Of course. Of
None of
course.
that. So, and I know that is a rare thing. I don't take it for granted.
That really is like, I mean, and shout out to the parents that like help nurture and support like everyone's gift. And I think sometimes it takes, at the end of the day, I think every parent wants the best for their kid. They want their kids to be okay. They want their
Yeah.
kids to be settled. And so I realize that, especially for like Nigerian parents, where it's only now, I would say maybe in the last maybe 10 years that the arts, for lack of a better word, has shown to be, I don't want to say lucrative because it sounds
Yeah.
like I don't think it's the best way, but like it shows that you can actually make a living from it.
Hmm.
And so I think, our parents they're doing the best with what they know, which is you have to get like a job in such type of field and you'll be secure, you'll be able to take care of yourselves.
Yeah.
And so I sometimes are mindful of that and realize that, our parents, they're just doing the best they can with the information that they have. And the fear is that you don't want their child, after they've trained them, sent you to school, paid tuition, and you now come and say you're going to go and do XYZ. And so I realize it's not necessarily because they don't care or they
Exactly.
don't love you. It's just a fear of the unknown. And it's like they haven't seen maybe anyone else do it successfully. And so I think it's really great when we have parents. And I think now it's different. I think social media too is probably helping because now you can see,
Mhm.
like people that are doing what you're doing and they're how they're doing well. And so yeah, someone is saying absolutely the arts has been frowned upon. Good for you for living in your truth. That's from Cujo Kids Zone. Thanks, Cujo.
Thank you.
um, I want to find out because I mean, we all know that going to Niger, I mean, Niger is fun, of course, because I know everybody sees Dirty Zemba. But like when you decide to live, that's a whole nother kettle of fish. And so I'm just curious, um, how was that journey there? Like you said, trying to navigate, this new space, this new city. I mean, granted, you're Nigerian, but you left when you were younger, and you're now coming back as an adult. And now, I mean, I don't know if you kept in touch with people, but like now you're coming and trying to navigate, a new city, making new friends, trying to find your place and navigating how things work in Nigeria, as well as trying to now work in your purpose. Like, how was that journey for you?
Yeah. It wasn't easy, but I wasn't also returning to Nigeria for the first time. Like I had
Mhm,
been in the in between. And that's how I knew that when I leave my job, the first place I want to go back to is Lagos and just see what's up.
mhm.
By then I had gone to Lagos a few Dirty Decembers. I'd gone to Lagos, and before I think this was before it was even called that. But
Exactly.
I had been
Yeah.
home in April. I had been home. I had gone to Bogobiri open mic, which at the time was like the premier open mic for artists. This was a place where um, some of the big name artists were coming to just feel out the space, and also up and comers were on the mic for the first time. So there was a pulse there that I knew existed, and I wanted to see through. So I wasn't moving home completely in the dark. I had a general idea of okay, I can make, I don't know what I was thinking, sincerely, but just that, I can arrive and something will happen. I was also moving from a place of deep spiritual obedience. And whenever I talk, I know that it makes me sound very woo-woo. But I left my job, I left Canada because I heard it clear, almost like a voice in my head, like, do this thing. And I often say obedience is my superpower, and I say that and I say please I beg because I don't want to be asked to do the one I cannot do. But generally, if I hear a thing and it comes with deep spiritual conviction, I'm gonna do it. It rarely at the time, then later on I'm like, okay, I see it now. And it felt a lot like that because why Nigeria? Why not just quit my job and stay here? I just knew I had to go. So I was deep delulu, which I think is the only way to do it. I had no doubts. I didn't even give myself time to think about anything that could go wrong. I was just going, Sha, I'm going, I'm going. And I arrived in Lagos and I was staying with my uncle, who, Uncle Lulu, shout out him, who put me up in Nigeria the entire time I was there. They moved houses 2 times, 3 times, and there was always a room for me there. Even when I was like, maybe I was in Canada visiting my parents, they'd be like, oh, we've moved, but don't worry, we'll see you when you get back. They kept, right? And I don't take any of that for granted because Nigeria is a difficult landscape. It's a difficult place to just arrive and start doing things. Life. I was comfortable and safe. He gave me a key to the door and said, see you, see you when I see you. I wasn't policed in any way. They were generous, kind, nothing like it. None of these like Nollywood stories of, you're staying with your family members. There was none of that.
I know.
I was one of their own, right? And every show that I had, my uncle was front row. They were there. They were there.
Oh, wow.
And Funke as well. And Shia, all the people. Anyways, so they put me up. I had a place to stay. And then I was like, okay, work now. Okay, I'll go to Bogobiri open mic where I know that people that are moving and shaking are there. I was always there every Thursday night. I was performing something on the mic. And I started to make headway, but I wasn't earning any money. It was just like, okay, come on. Yeah, okay. So in the
Exposure.
beginning, like,
Come on, do exposure.
Your savings in Canada is coming down, down, down. Like you feel like you're making a name for yourself somehow, but it's like, I need to start earning money. And this part, I think, is connected to that spiritual component. Because the next thing that happened for me was Giddy Up. I'm not an actor, and I've not acted since for that very reason.
I was going to bring that up next, but I was like, how did you transition from that? And how was that experience for you?
Yeah, so I was because I had been doing Bogobiri open mic, meeting other artists, meeting other poets. An artist I met at the time was Bem Yoda, who's an incredible musician, and was doing a show called Bem Yoda and Friends. And Bem Yoda said, come and be the and friends, come and perform. So he was doing, he's a musician, but wanted poets, open mic, whatever. And I think it was me, Wana, and a bunch of other people that performed that night.
Okay.
And so we went to the venue. It was like a seafood restaurant.
Okay.
And I performed one poem or two max. But Jari Sola Shiberu and Lala Akindoju came to that show.
Oh, wow.
And at the time, we're casting for Giddy Up.
Okay.
So Lala came to me, and I'd met Lala again at Bogobiri or somewhere else, like just kind of in the art space. We weren't like close. We didn't know each other very, very well, but she had seen me. So Jari said, oh yeah, I think she mentioned Jari said, oh, that girl looks like Eki, like she looks like the character. Does she act? Lala said, say less. And make it happen production. She's like, say less, I'm gonna go ask her. So she came up and said, well, have you considered acting? I'm like, yeah, of course. At that time, me, I'm like, say yes to anything that you see. So I'm like, acting, I act. Even though I've never done more than a school play. But I said yes. They gave me audition dates and slides. Now, this is to me a way in which I always tell artists nothing is ever wasted. All the things you do, many, many things you do will count for something. Exactly. All I had done up to that point was memorize poetry, which meant that when I saw slides for an audition, the plenty words did not terrify me. I'm like, I don't act, but I can read something. Like I can memorize a script. So when I got the slides, I just focused on knowing the words. Let me just know the words, and then when I get there, the Holy Spirit will help me.
Yes.
So so I just read it, and I'd watched Giddy Up before I went to Nigeria because it was on YouTube at the time. Oh, this is amazing. And so when Lala asked me, have you ever considered acting? I didn't know it was for Giddy Up. I just thought something. So when I got the email, it said Giddy Up. I was like, yo, because I loved that show. And I also didn't even know then it was for Eki. I thought it was just a new character they were introducing, blah, blah, blah. Studied the text, digested it so that at least when I get there, I'm not worrying about remembering the words. I can worry about all the other things, which is
wow.
And so I auditioned, and Um, I remember after reading, everybody stood up and they were excited and clapping. And even still, I did. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Maybe this is what they do in every audition. Then they brought Somkele in, who has become one of Eki and Yvonne are Somkele and Titi in a way. Like there's a way in which we bonded for the show and we bonded for life. So she came in to do a chemistry test with me, and as soon as I met her, I was like, yeah, because there's a way in which a more experienced actor will like like carry you
Yeah.
along that in a way that makes
Yeah.
you shine also. And she was very generous in that way. So we did a chemistry test, we read together, and the rest, yeah, I got a call a few weeks later saying, well, yeah, let's go and shoot the thing. And I had a lot to learn. I didn't know a single thing. Shout out to Jade and Lala and the rest of the crew for really like that space was a space for young,
Mm,
unknown actors at the
yeah.
time to just they were infinitely patient with all of us, and yeah. And so Giddy Up then gave me a platform to
Uh,
push.
so have you considered going back to acting? Because I mean, you already, at least you have some credits. So I mean, why not?
Um, yes, I have, and the thing is, I love and respect the art form. I think maybe the A student part of me also feels like I need to, in order for me to consider myself to be an actor who does this seriously, I need to dedicate time and effort. I don't think it's a thing that you do lightly. People who are acting have been hustling in this field for ages. They've done theater,
Absolutely.
and if I'm going to face it, a part of me feels like I need to face it with as much intensity, seriousness, and devotion as I have my
Mhm.
art. And until I'm ready to do that, it would feel like disrespectful to just be doing. Also because, yeah, like I want to build a portfolio of things that I can be proud of. And
Absolutely.
um,
Excellent.
um, calls to audition for things after, but just nothing that felt like it was it. So the door is not completely locked. It's
Okay.
closed lightly for now. Yeah,
Lightly until somebody comes and busts it down and be like, my dear, come and take this role. So,
that part.
um, I have a question as well. So obviously you were writing poetry here while you were in Canada, and then you were writing poetry while you were in Nigeria. Do you think um, your environment influenced how you wrote, or like the type of emotions that you like portrayed in your poetry? Do you think it made a difference?
Mm. Yeah, yeah. The physical environment matters.
Hmm.
I find it very difficult to write in Lagos. Actually,
You find it
Lagos.
what?
I find it very difficult to write while I'm in
Mm.
Nigeria. Like to write. But I feel like I find it easy to live while I'm there. It's a very, very dynamic place, and so what I'm like absorbing and living life. And then I feel like when I'm in a quieter space like Edmonton in my small home and like then I can like okay now I'm like meditating and writing. But I think that an important component of writing is living. So I kind of toggle between the two. Where do I go for inspiration and spark
Hmm.
and energy? Where do
Yeah.
I go for rest and retreats and meditation? Those are very different places. Um, yeah, and I do think that the subject matter, like the things I'm writing about, are influenced by the place that I am, but also about like my own inner life. The person that moved to Lagos in 2013 is not the person who is here in 2025. I've grown as a woman. Even vocally, like having children deepen my voice,
Oh,
which is
wow.
a thing and sometimes it deepens and then it comes back, but mine just deepened and then it went down more. So for me, when I listen to earlier recordings of my voice, I'm like, who is she? Like it feels like such a foreign thing. Even vocally, I'm different. Physically, I'm different. In all the ways that I'm different, it shows up in how I write and what I write about. And yeah, my writing evolves both from my
Mhm.
and like external life.
Okay. So with your voice changing, did that present a challenge, or it just made it a different way or a different dynamic when you were performing or recording your poetry?
I mean, I think one of the what created a more interesting challenge is that I developed a lisp after my son was born. Pregnancy, childbirth, there's so many things, so many mysteries. But
Really?
after my son was born, my jaw shifted slightly, and so I had a lisp. So if you listen to Swim very, 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 very closely, you will hear that I was struggling to like bite down on certain words. But
Oh,
that went, glory to God. So that was a worry for me because I talk for a living, and I would have rolled with it, but it just was different. It felt like I couldn't really control my mouth in the same way. But the deepening of my
mm.
just like my voice is settling more down, down, down into my, into my belly, and I'm becoming more woman, more whole. And so
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to sound like a child, I'm okay with that evolution,
Mm-hmm.
and just carrying on with it. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like women need to talk a lot more about the changes that they experience because I would have never thought that your voice would change. Like I know that your body changes, but I would have never thought like things with your voice box, your vocals, your jaw. Like I would never have thought that, and it's so interesting how it presents in different women, right? Because obviously the changes are different. It's not like a standard. This was going to happen, but it's just interesting how it really just happens to each every woman. So I'm just like, wow. But I mean, I'm happy that it didn't taint. I'm happy that you were able to kind of roll with it. And like you said, it just forms your evolution as a woman, as a mother, as a wife, as a poet. And so I think that's like amazing.
Mhm.
Um, I have another question.
Okay.
Obviously, it's like, what is your mindset? Like obviously you like you said, you've done a bunch of these shows now, and so obviously it's like you've kind of gotten into like a rhythm of how to prepare. But when you're about to step on stage,
Mhm.
right before you're about to step on, what is what is the mindset? Is there like a ritual that you have to do? Is it that you have to pray? Is it that you have to do vocal warm-ups? Like what is that thing that you have to do to kind of get your mindset right before you go on stage?
Hmm. Um, I'm developing those practices. I'm being more strict about them now. Definitely,
Mhm.
I'll always pray before I go on stage, right? But I think even the ritual of like, I need a minute
Mm,
for like in which nobody's asking me anything. I don't know. Like anything that's happening now has happened. Like there's no fixes anymore. I need that period of time in which I'm like kind of alone and ready to go on. One of the things I used to
mhm,
offer my to my soul, my spirit, and to God is make me an instrument, make me an instrument, make me an instrument. Because I really
mhm,
do believe this work is a work of service, right? So I know what my own personal agenda is, and I also know what my the spiritual agenda is, or maybe I don't know and I'm asking. So for me it's like I'm saying whatever this work I'm about to do means to somebody in this room, like make me an actual instrument, allow me to separate my ego, the feeling of like, oh, people are here to watch me, from what I'm here to do. And on stages when I've gotten that wrong, I feel it and I see
mhm,
it. I've done the work, I've rehearsed, we've set this thing up, and now it's time when I say you prepare, you prepare, you prepare, then you make room for the Holy Spirit. For me, it's like prepare, prepare,
mhm,
prepare, open your mouth, and let the rest go. Like let it just happen.
mhm,
In those is like I feel like okay, I've really done my work before I got and get on stage. So like silence, stillness, prayer. Usually backstage with me are like it's not and everybody. Um, a few people, right, who speak the truth to me, who make me feel like I'm not jaga jaga. Like they make me feel settled. I don't like chaos energy. So if you're a person who's like a busybody, you can be aside and dealing with that, but like backstage,
mhm,
I like peace and quiet and just like okay, lots of deep breathing because I get really nervous still, which I say
mhm,
tells me that I care about what I'm doing. So my heart will be going bah, 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 bah. And then I have to like talk speak to myself, and after a while
mhm.
there's like a settling, and then almost like I'm like okay, we're in the end game now, like you can't run away like you are here. And then I just go. Most of the time I'm not like I'm outside of my body by the
I
time
was
I'm
about to say, I'm like,
yeah,
yeah, I'm like, is it an out of body
it
experience when you
is.
get on stage? Like,
Yeah, yeah. And when it's like when I'm really in my flow, I'm like it's outer body and I'm just kind of like I'm loving the ride of
mm,
it. When I'm not really in my flow, I'm inside outside, like I'm worrying and I'm inside, and I can feel that. But when
mhm.
I've gotten it, I can be on a stage and like it feels like I'm levitating. Like it really does feel like oof, like I'm here. And this is the drug. This is what keeps me at work, is that feeling is there's nothing like it. If I could bottle it, I would.
Sister, if you bottle it and you're selling, please come and give me. I need. Um, There's like two people asked this
Mhm.
question in the chat, and so I figured it'd be a good question actually to ask you is, do you ever experience writer's block? And then how do you navigate that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the middle of a block right now. I've been trying to write
Oh.
several years, and I can't bring myself to go back and look at the first draft. Um, I do experience it, and I wish I could say that there's like a real thing you can do. Like you can practice. Writing is a practice, right? And so for me, it's like you just get in the practice of doing it. You exercise the muscle
Mhm.
gets stronger, and you
Mhm.
remember where to go when it's time. But there's another kind of writer's block that is born of just that it is not time yet. So if I'm unable to write, then I know that maybe it's time to be living more. Maybe it's not time to
Oh.
bang my fist on the table and try to make something happen. It's just about like, okay, it's not time. Go and do another thing. Also,
Mhm.
as artists, I think it's really a beautiful thing to engage in other art forms. You were talking about coloring, and I was like, oh, it's in the living room. I would have shown you my coloring book. But it's just like sitting with other things. Go put your hands in something else that is without pressure, without expectation. You're
Mhm.
making another thing. And sometimes that opens up another portal where it's like, oh, I'm coloring. And then, oh, suddenly that problem I was trying to solve on the page, oh, I've remembered now.
Right.
And also sleep. Plenty naps. If I'm stuck in a piece of
Oh.
writing, I will go and lie down and doze off. And somewhere in dream world, the answer will come to me. So I think sometimes offering yourself grace, you've practiced, and it's not, go do something else, rest, and then come back to it when it feels more open.
Mm. Which happens to be the name of your show that you did in Nigeria. And that was, I think that was your first big show, right? Titled Open. That was your big show, right? Like your first one.
Mhm. Before that, there was Becoming, but yes, in 2015,
Okay.
called Becoming, which was like open version beta, beta testing. It was called Becoming, but full disclosure, I did that show, and then there was like a year or two plus after of a lot of Becoming things. People had written books called Becoming, like Becoming was everywhere, that word, and I was like,
Uh,
maybe because I planned to do Becoming one, two, three, four, whatever. I just thought maybe that's not it, and I left it for several years, and then came back. I think it was 2016 or seven, no, 2017 was when I did Open, which was like again another.
2017 or 2018? I thought it was 2018.
Yeah,
2017?
there was a 2017 before my
Oh.
son, three venues in Lagos, Muson Center, Yaba, um,
In
and
Abuja, right? I think you did one in Abuja, you did one, and
yeah,
I
that was
think
the
2018 alone, you had like three shows. You had Lagos, London, Abuja.
Johannesburg, uh,
Oh, okay.
Edmonton, and Calgary actually on that tour. That was 2018. But before that 2018 tour, which I did 4 months postpartum, again another like I don't know. I had done a 2017 version that was just three shows in Lagos. So yeah, Open was born in 2017 and then continued to grow. Yeah.
Oh, wow. And what was like, how did you come up with the name? Like, because obviously, like you said, Becoming was now becoming popular. And obviously, you're like, okay, I don't want to use that name or brand.
Hmm.
What was now the inspiration for the word open or the theme open?
It just came. Sometimes I can credit my own human intelligence and thinking through. Sometimes I just get like, oh, okay. And it was just like, oh, open. Because I also wanted to create a show that felt open. It was like I wanted to be vulnerable. I wanted my heart to feel
Mm.
open. Da 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 da. That was like um the impulse for it. And so the name just kind of came to me. And I remember I was like in a strategy session with Jade Sola and Bem, where Bem's an artist as well. And we're just like, with like boards and thinking, okay, what do you want to do 5, 6 years? And so I was like, I want to do write a poetry collection. I want to do a poetry concert. I want to da 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 da. Like, and now I still have those slides. And so we wrote down a bunch of stuff, and Open was on there. And I was like, I want to do the show. I think it's called Open, and it's a concert, but it's poetry. Da 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 da. Sometimes like these things, yeah, like there's work, but also some of it is largely like spiritual and serendipity and
Mhm.
grace and mercy. And so Open was on that sheet, and
Okay.
then it took some time before I actually made it happen. But yeah, it just was a word that came to me.
Okay. That's amazing. And so was the album Swim, did that come before Open or after Open?
Swim came after the first Open. Swim was released in October of 2019.
This
Shortly.
was right before the pandemic. That was interesting.
Yeah. Yes.
So what was, because when I listened to Swim, and like I feel like obviously there's such a difference in how I guess the emotions or the words that you're talking about in Swim versus your new album Sis. And so with Swim, I mean, and correct me if I'm wrong, but this the way I interpreted the journey of the album was that you were, I don't say you were searching, but it's like you were trying to like navigate and figure yourself out. And then when I listen to Sis, I feel like you're more grounded, you know yourself, but then now you're in a new phase and era of life.
Yeah.
So I mean, am I wrong, or what was your thought when you were doing Swim?
Swim was born after like a period of like heartbreak in
Mm,
like to candidly like I was trying to understand love and love for myself, but also like romantic love. And I had gotten my heart pounded in several times. Like I was like in pain.
mm.
And in that period when I was in pain, I know that there were like poems I would read over and over again, or songs. You know, when you are really experiencing things, there are some songs you put
Yes, you have
on the
heartbreak
record.
playlists that you're just listening to.
Yeah, like you're just listening to that one song. You're just listening so that you can, you know. And I was like, oh, I would love to create something like this that people who are in the throes of becoming, like who are in the throes of hurting, healing, figuring it out, can just play and play and play and play. So
Mhm,
that was the intention going into it. By the time I was creating Swim, of course, I was like, I was doing so much better. I was like retrospectively looking at this time in my life because, and so I created that album with that intention. This is a heartbreak, figuring myself out kind of album. And you're right in saying that by Sis, which is coming out several years later, I'm in a different life space. I'm thinking less about romantic love because, you know, I'm married, I have children. That part of my life feels like kind of settled in. And I'm thinking
mhm,
more about the other romances in our lives with our
mhm.
friends, with our sisters, like the other love story that we don't platform in the same way. And so for me now, it's like friendships, my blood sisters, sisters that I've chosen, and trying to figure out how we do that better. How do we heal all the woundedness? How do we bring our best selves into those relationships? This is the thing I'm still, I have three older sisters, four of us. And yeah, like I want to be better at that. Like I want to invest my heart with my sisters now, and so that album is an exploration of that part because that's what feels urgent to me today.
Listen, the album Sis. Remember, I was sending you text message when I was listening to it. Like the album had me in, I don't say in my feelings, but it did. Like I was like very emotional because I think at the time when I was listening to the album, several of the songs were literally resonating with me with the journey I was going through with some friendships, sisterhoods, whatever you want to call it. And so I was just like, wow, like so this was deep. And I was just like, and even just the way you expressed certain things. And when you talked about I think You Gather Me, and then Hey Sis, I think is my personal favorite just because at the time
Mhm.
it really just was what I was going through and feel that feeling of time has passed and trying to remember like why how did we even get
Yeah.
into this situation, why, and trying to figure out like how do we move forward. And so I was just like, so for you writing this album, obviously it's deeply personal, I'm assuming, or
Mhm.
not assuming, I know,
Yeah.
but what was the journey? Because I'm like, were you worried about being too vulnerable? Because I'm like, this, you are literally saying things that would sound like you're reading your diary and telling somebody
Yeah.
this is how I'm feeling. And I was like, this is very open. And I'm just like, were you nervous about being that vulnerable to people about what you're going through, or at least your experiences?
Mm. No, because nobody can beat me. You know, like um, I think the gift of creating an album is that my job when I'm in the room is to just tell the truth. Then there's time after
Mm,
that, okay, what stays, what doesn't stay. And then it goes into the world. I'm not in your living room. You don't, I will get your feelings in real time because people will send me messages and stuff like that. But it's different from a live performance in which I'm saying the thing and I'm looking at your face. So I can be
mm,
different in a way, but my work requires that I tell all of the truth because of the
mm,
kind of I think the expectation is if I'm creating an album called Sis, it's a rah rah sisterhood women are a fantastic album, but that would be a lie, right?
Mm,
What is more true is that our relationships are textured and nuanced, that
very.
sometimes there is beauty and mercy and grace, and other times it's a little ugly as well, and we are,
Mm,
working on it. Sometimes there's fractures even by blood. There are siblings who do not speak to each other. So I cannot write an album about sisterhood and not start, first of all, inside my own house, then make my way outside, then give you, of course, the rah-rah sisterhood of it. But I wanted to say, like, this is an area even in which even I am unsure, even I am worrying, even I am wishing for. Most, I say poems are prayers because for me it's like a desire that I'm expressing there. I want a sisterhood that is kind, that is gracious, that is merciful, that is
mm,
peaceful. But I also know
mm,
many ways in which I have not been a good sister or friend.
mm,
And
mm.
it felt important for me to say that out loud because I know it can't be just me. Because I know about friendship breakups and people who don't speak to each other for years and months and weeks. That is not, it's a universal experience of like someone who you were so bonded with. And in friendship, you are even, I feel like there's a deeper thing there than romantic love because romantic love is hedged together by so many other contracts, right? But in
Yeah.
friendship, you choose and you can unchoose as well. And that kind of like unchoosing can be very painful because it feels like this person knows my heart, knows me.
Mm.
This moment they have released me to go and tumble down the road. They don't care. So that there's a heartbreak there that I feel like we don't talk enough about. We don't address.
Seriously.
Yeah. So I wanted to just say the thing, know that you can't come to my house and jack me up. And I'm not ashamed of any part of my life. All of it happened. And my version of the telling is my version of the telling. I'm sure if you called everybody else into the room, they would also have their version of the telling. It's okay. You know,
Mhm,
yeah.
mhm.
So I wasn't, maybe I should have been more scared because I think once it actually goes out into the world, you're just like, but it's done
No,
at that point, it's done. So
no one is going to
yeah.
come and beat you. So as you said, no one's going to come and beat you. What's what they can do? Come and beat you. Like no one's going to do that. No, but I mean, I think I'm glad that you did it because, like I said, when I was listening to it, I sent it to my friend, and she was in shit. She's like, I am literally in shambles right
Oh,
now. She like because, like I said, like I think everyone has gone through that journey, and I'm curious. I don't know if guys go through these type of situations with their friendships and the loss of friendships. But I know that obviously with women, I think also because we're more relational, a lot of times, friendships are very, close and dear to us. And so it's just when it resonated, I'm sure that there's some guys that might listen to it and maybe it might resonate, maybe differently, but definitely it resonated with women. But like I said, when I was listening to the album, there was specific songs I had on repeat. And then when I sent it to my friend, same thing. And she was just like on her status on WhatsApp, just the whole, and I was just like, and I think I messaged you, I'm like, listen, you are touching people because this album is like getting us in our feels, man. Like I'm supposed to be working, I'm here in tears trying to clean my eye, and I'm like, hey, just. And so for me, like I said, my favorite songs were Hey Sis and then They Gather Me. So I'm just curious for you, I have twofold questions. What was your favorite song, or I say song, poem writing, and then which was the hardest to write?
mm. I my favorite to create, not just the writing, but even just the making, was Gather Me
Mm.
because I wanted, there's some poems that are for like artistic. I don't know what the word is, but there's some in which I just want to play, and Gather Me felt like um, imperfect in that way. But I remember talking to Enoch. First of all, shout out to Enoch Ati, who produced, composed, played almost every instrument, did all the things, and Mela Freak, the band as well, and Rewall, who sang on the album. These are people that are like incredible co-creators with me. Mela Freak and I have been together since. And so I went to Enoch and I said, I want to create a track, just one, give me one track on this album that's not like, give me one in which like maybe someone could like play it in their car and bop a little bit. Like I wanted it to feel up tempo. And so
Mm-hmm.
he worked with Aristotle, who's also part of Mela Freak, who's like, okay, say less, and created this, like there's like a rhythm there, like a tempo.
Yes, there
And
is.
fun to make because I was just like, yeah, let's just make something that feels not so much like the expectation of what Titilope is going to sound like, and let's experiment with different pacing, different sounds, different feelings. I
Mm,
want to do more of that actually. Um, the most difficult to write was both Lessons in Summer
mm.
and Blood Remember, because both of them are deeply, deeply personal. And with Blood Remembers, it's not only my story to tell, right? And it felt like, yeah, that one I knew there would be the family group chat would
Be
light up,
popping.
but it also felt like important connective tissue in the album. It's like I have to start there, and the poem starts by saying that it begins and ends with us. Like this is the genesis of my understanding of relationships with sisters. This is the genesis of my understanding of friendship, and then that informs everything else that comes next in this album. So it was the last one I wrote. I struggled to get it on the album. But yeah, it was hard to write and difficult to let go, but it exists now. Yeah.
No, I mean, I'm glad that you were able to like push through and release it, and I'm glad that your family supports it and it's out there. And I can say that for sure. It's definitely helping and touching millions, I'm sure, of women. I'm sure men too. I
Really?
feel like sometimes we talk about
Thanks, though. I'll
ah,
take it.
we have to speak it as if it is this already. So we are speaking
I
millions.
know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
9
yeah, yeah. So yeah.
million.
But no, I know that it's touching a lot of people, and like I said, it's great when you hear something and you realize that it's not just you.
Yeah.
I guess I don't know what the solution is to how to navigate this, because they always say like adult friendships are so hard, and I sometimes I wonder about. I'm like, growing up, you didn't feel like friendships were hard to form or hard to manage or hard to navigate, and then it's like as we're older, I'm like, why? What is the difference? Is it just the phase of life is different, or is it just the world is different? Now the social media, like what exactly is adding to the difficulty of managing friendships, especially for friendships that you had from your youth, that in your mind you just thought we'd be friends forever. And then all of a sudden it's like, you know, one phone call, like, calling every day goes to less. And then, you did this to me like 3 years, but why didn't you tell me 3 years ago? Why you just like all these things and trying to navigate all that? And I'm just like, it's hard. And like you rightly said, and I had read somewhere before that friendship breakups hurt even harder than romantic. And I know people have debated the how, why, but I'm like, there's just something about like a friend that you thought were gonna be in your like they're gonna be in your life for the rest of your life, and now all of a sudden they are no longer there, especially when they were like very instrumental or they were a part of your life all the time. And then now all of a sudden, like it like now all of a sudden this is someone that you would call right away to say, hey, this is what's going on. And then now you have that big exciting moment, and then you pick up the phone and then you realize I can't call this person, or I can't send a text to this person. And there's such a loss or a grieving of that type of dynamic. At least for me, I don't know if anyone else can relate to that, but that's been the experience that I've had, where it's like, someone that you couldn't even imagine that your life, they wouldn't be part of your story or the version of your story, and then now you're in a new version and it's like they're not there. So you go through that process of grieving, mourning, whatever you want to call it, and then you start to accept, and then you start to adapt, and then you start to just live, and then you just remember, you have moments of flashbacks when you remember when they're a part of your life, but now it's like, they're not. And you're okay. Hopefully you've healed, you've moved on, but it's such a journey to get through all those steps to now get to the point where you're okay, where you hear their name or you see them and you don't feel sadness or whatever emotions that you're feeling. At least that's what I.
Yeah, I feel my feelings always. I think there are friendships that will end that stay with you eternally. Like I cannot hear certain songs. I can't
Mm-hmm.
like there's a particular perfume that when I smell it, you know what I mean? Like that stays with you. But I also think I was gonna respond to what you said earlier about why is it more difficult now. I think when you're younger, you're bonded by certain, like you're in the same university or college, like you're on the same campus every day. I'm going to see you, and so there's a way in which you are bonded by other things.
Mm-hmm.
Real friends, in my opinion, when you have to choose people. Now you're, and all of us are living in a social media world in which we're online more consistently, and also like a lot of my friendships are having to occur over oceans My friends are in Nigeria, they're in London, and we're living more cross-continentally. And so you have to really, really make different kinds of
Effort.
efforts in your life. Um, and you're not growing sometimes in tandem. Just like, we're going to the same secondary school, so we have the same subjects. Our lived experiences are the same. And that starts to evolve and change. I think friendships are worth fighting for. I think they're worth going back, turning around and saying, am I sure? And turning around and saying, this is where I have messed up, and turning around and saying, I miss you, I love you, I want you, like, and that part is so hard to say because sometimes it's like, you know, you there's like a righteous indignation is what I call it, where yes, you may have been right, okay, but do you love your friend and want them in your life? Then tell them. And if they say I don't want, okay, then you can do the work of moving on. But I feel like sometimes it is, and I'm saying this even for myself also, sometimes it is difficult to say, yes, I still feel I was right about whatever we're fighting about, but I love you. I still feel like you didn't show up for me in a particular way, but I don't want to have a life in which you're not in it.
Mm-hmm.
I think like it's an ego death to say that to somebody. But I
Takes a
think,
lot.
yeah, like if that friendship is meaningful, important to you, you in the same, when you're watching a Hollywood romance, a romantic comedy or whatever it is, there's the moment where they're holding the radio on their head when they're running through the airport and saying, I love you, choose me, pick me, whatever. There must be a version of that, even in platonic friendships, where you're willing to do the foolish, embarrassing thing of saying, I love you and I want you to be in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to disgrace myself because, I'm not going, and I've done that in friendships before. Of course, it's their choice to then say yes or no, but I've had conversations where I'm like, look, if we continue like this, we're not going to, I know where this goes. And I'm telling you that I don't want that outcome. I don't want that outcome. It's vulnerable. You look foolish and ridiculous, especially if the person's like, sure, sure. But nah. And you have to live with that also. But your
Mm-hmm.
job is to do the one that you can do, and then also be open. I must
Oh,
say, like all of this said, friendships are the most divine place. Be open to new friendships. Be open to the idea that you can meet somebody today that you didn't go to. You know that thing of, oh, we went to high school together, we went to university, we went to primary school. Okay, there are a world of beautiful, brilliant people
mm-hmm.
who want the you that is you now, not the you that was 10 years old. And sometimes
Absolutely.
back at the 10, 20, 30, 40-year-old friendships, sometimes we don't open our eyes to people that are right there who are like, yo, like, I like you, you like me, let's be friends. You have to be like children. When I watch my son making friends, I'm like, yeah, that like, there's no shame. It's like, oh, I like you, I like your vibes, let's be friends, and maybe they're even as big grown women. And life can be surprising, so you kind of have to let it do its thing.
I know. Someone's pointed out in the comments that people don't do it because of fear of rejection, and I think that's the only hindrance, like why you don't
Yeah,
want to put yourself out there like that. And it's just like you do that and then you get rejected. And to be honest, like I know that you're saying about, make new friends. But there have been times where I'm just like, see, this is why I can't be friends. I'm like, I've no new friends. So I'm like, I'm not doing any new friends again because I'm like, you don't want my house to be broken again. But then after a while, it's like, it's just life, like meeting new people every day. And it's like you have to just be willing to take that risk. And you can't assume that every relationship, friendship is always just going to like end abysmally. Like you have to be willing to take that risk. And like you said, it's like you might miss out on meeting new people. And I feel like sometimes God will bring some like people strategically in your life. And maybe this season of life, this new person is the person that you need. But because you're so afraid, you are now either delaying your blessing or hindering yourself from moving to this next phase or level
yeah.
because you're not allowing yourself to be open to this person. So, I mean, it's a
It's
journey, though. I'm saying it's not like it's
I'm
sweet.
not taking
It's a journey.
it's scary. I'm not saying this as though it's something I perfected. I'm saying it because I also know that when it pays off, like I've made some friends in the last handful of years. I'm like, oh wow, like I just met you, but here we are, and that only comes from being able to say, hey, like I want to invest here,
Mm-hmm.
and it's scary. You can be disappointed, but that's life,
That
That's
is life. That is life. No, I mean this is I'm excited. I'm really excited about your show in Edmonton.
Mm,
And so what can folks expect for your upcoming show?
sure. I'm a yapper, and I realize I've yapped my way through this conversation. My apologies. Um,
Don't apologize. We are loving this. I mean, please people should give her heart emoji so she knows that there's no yapping. This is what
it's
this is about. We're
good.
supposed to talk and have conversation. Trust me, no yapping here whatsoever.
Good. May 11th, it's Mother's Day in Edmonton. It's at the Ziedler Dome. And the Ziedler Dome, if anyone has ever been to the Tell Us World of Science, it's an actual dome, and it's like they projects images of the stars
Oh,
and it feels literally like you are under the stars, but you're inside. It's beautiful. And so I'll be performing poems from the album and beyond with Riwa, who is the voice. If you listen to any of my albums and heard a voice, it's Riwa. She's a
your
powerhouse.
voice is beautiful. Beautiful. Beautiful
Thank
voice.
you. And so Riwa and I will be performing the sets together. Yeah, it's a chance for the album to live on a stage. It hadn't really, like I'd released it and then just kind of like, you know, and it's Mother's Day, so bring your friend, your sister. There will be poetry, there will be song, there will be stories as usual, and it's going to feel like the space is not. It's 180 people, and we're already halfway there. Like, so the tickets, please buy your tickets because
Yes,
uh,
people buy your tickets. So buy your tickets, please, please,
and
please.
it's a space that's in the round. So the stage is a circle. So even the performance is 360, and the audience is right there,
Oh
and
wow.
for
I'm
that like,
excited.
intimacy and like I can touch and feel people and we're there together. I think it's going to be beautiful. And I say this not because I'm going to be on the stage, but also I think performance is about an interaction between audience and performer. And
Yeah.
because of the that we've created, I think we're going to have a fantastic exchange. And I'm excited to be a part of it. I feel like I'm also looking forward to seeing what's going to happen. Yeah, it's going to be nice. 11th, 6:30 p.m. Come through.
6:30 p.m. And people they are on time. Well, this is no Niger time. On
No, no, no.
prompt,
No,
prompt,
I start on time.
prompt. I've been to her shows. Prompt. If they say six, we are
Yeah.
not doing Niger time 7 p.m. No. They will close the door and they will start. So please let's be on time with our tickets. So please, everyone, make sure you go and get your tickets. Let's. My friend says it sounds like something to fly out for from
Oh,
New
that's
York.
so
Come
sweet.
through.
Oh,
Come
that's
through, Lola.
nice.
Come through.
I went to New York too, so don't worry. Maybe one day. But yeah, come to Edmonton.
So besides this, I mean, obviously, I know that all your energy and efforts are being channeled towards preparing for this show. But what else can we expect from Titilope this year? Um, what else can we expect? Are we expecting another album, another book, another movie, more shows? What can we expect from you so that we can be on the lookout?
Tubo says, when are we getting something in Lagos or at least a 6 hour? Hi, Tubo. By the way, Tubo is in the house, and Tubo is the one who made my dress for Open Lagos in 2023. That white, sparkly.
Oh,
Don't play with her. Don't play with her. Don't play with her. She's incredible. But anyways,
shout
when are
out
we
to Tubar. Okay, yeah.
in Lagos? End of the year, actually. November, December. It'll happen again. Um, Other than the show, I'm trying to finish this book, this little workbook. It's something you can keep with you. There'll be poetry prompts in there, and it's accompanying audio version, so you can listen to me actually saying the things to you. That's a big focus for me at the moment.
Mhm.
And generally, this year is my 40th year. And so the year is about finishing the things I said I would do.
Mm.
If I do not finish that novel this year, I invite you to come to Edmonton to jack me up. I'm
You will
serious.
write it in, don't
So
worry, you write it in Jesus' name.
I'm not. There's no new album this year. Like I'm not really making big outward work, but I'm really, really just trying to keep the promises that I've made to myself. So there will be shows Lagos and elsewhere. The book will come out, the devotional slash workbook, and then I'll just be, I think, basking in what it means to be 40 years old and over a decade in this work. I'm trying to do less this year than I have before. I'm really trying to face my heart, So again, I surprise myself. So maybe I'll get another and it'll happen. But for now, I'm just like focusing inward. I'm just trying to create more mindfully. Less is more.
No, that's amazing. Do you have any big plans for your 40th, or are you just trying to have a very more low-key family
I'm having
zen type of
a
birthday?
party in Edmonton. I'll see you offline. But this year I'm like, last year I had like a really lovely dinner with a handful of friends, long table. We sat down, we talked, we cried, we did all the things. We've done that. This year, I said to my husband, I want to dance. I want my heel to break. I want sweat drip. Like I want to dance.
Tell me, let me book
So
my calendar to come and
no,
MC
no,
this
no.
your
So we're
event.
having a party in Edmonton. There is going to be food and drinks, a fire DJ, and we're going to dance till we
And if
fall
I
down. Yes, and
MC,
then
let me just.
we're gonna do like retreat styles. That's like individual, but for the people, the family, I just want us to have a good time. I'm not, and I was even saying no speeches. I don't want to hear any stories. I already know it's fine. Send me an email. I want to dance, so I want to ring in 40 on the dance floor.
Okay, we will help to usher you into your 40th life of joy. I mean, I'm excited. I've been here for a bit, so I can at least tell you it's good. It's
I
good. So I mean, I'm excited for you for this, and I am so appreciative of the fact that you spent time with me and all these people online talking. I don't know if there's anyone that has a quick question before we let TT go, because she has to go join her family. So if anyone has any questions, please just put it in the chat. But if not, I need you guys to buy your ticket. I'm going to post on my stories after this live the link to go get her tickets. Please come. I promise you. The first time I saw TT was in, I think it was 2013 in Nigeria. And I didn't get an opportunity to come, and I think I spoke to you maybe briefly, but I didn't get an opportunity to take a picture. It was yourself and another poet. And I was like, oh, she's from Canada. I was very intrigued. When I now found out that you were in Edmonton, I was like, backyard here. And so I think at the time, this is when blogs were still very popular. Bella like people were blogging. I think did you have like a blog briefly or something? Because I feel like I was following your story or your journey
I think
online
it was
because I hadn't.
maybe. I don't
And
know. Who
so
knows what I was?
no, no, I
I was
think you had a
like,
blog. I think you had a blog at that time because you were documenting little bits of like your
oh
journey, and I think that's how
yeah.
I knew you went to Nigeria. So that's how I just kept keeping tabs a little
Well,
bit. I didn't have the privilege of seeing you perform in Nigeria. When I now heard that you had come back, and then I think I ran into you at your sister's work because it was the same building as my office. Like, yeah, you're back. And you're like, yes. I was like, oh, yay. And I've been following ever since.
thank you.
And trust me, it's been a journey. Like, I love to see that you're just walking and taking risks. And I think I talked to you about it briefly, where it's just like sometimes there's a lot of fear just trying to step out and do what it is that you're called to do. And the fact that you're a living, breathing example is so inspiring. And to me, that's why I really wanted to have you on here, because I'm
Thank
like,
you. And I appreciate
you,
the space and the platform and you inviting me to be a part of this with you. We've known each other for many, many years, and you've been nothing but kind and supportive. Every time I see you, have a kind word to say. So I'm very grateful. I don't take any of it for granted. Thank you for making time also to listen to me yap. Thank you all for joining the chat. And, it was a long one, but you're here. Thank you.
thank you guys so much. Thank you, TT. And I will see you Mother's Day, or if maybe this weekend, I don't know, but let's just say Mother's Day. I will see you in Edmonton there with myself ready to come and, vibe
Thank
out with you. So
you.
don't worry. So I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Hopefully I will be seeing you soon on my next IG Live. Look out for that. So please, if you haven't got your tickets, head over to TT's page, and I'm going to put the link in my stories. So thank you so much, TT. And thank you guys for tuning in. I love, 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 love you guys. Please, please, please like, share, and subscribe, as they say on YouTube. So as well. So please. I love you guys so much, and see you guys. Hopefully, I'll see most of you guys at TT's event next month. Bye, you guys.
Bye.
Bye, TT. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
All right,
Bye.
bye.